Insights with Terri Ep.101, a weekly look through the eyes of predictive astrologer Terri Ep.101. Here's Terri.
Hi everyone, this is Terri, and you're listening to Insights with Terri Ep.101. Thank you again for joining me for the week of Monday the 12th through the 18th, 2022. Shall we see what's going on for this week? We have some interesting energy. We always do though, isn't that the truth? Life is interesting, period. We're still in that Sagittarius energy in the sun sign. We're slowly getting away from it. I'm sad to say. I like Sagittarius energy. It's so positive. It's so optimistic. There's a spirituality to it that I enjoy. But we're moving away from so much of that into more Capricorn. Now, Capricorn has a lot to offer as well. Capricorn right now is in Mercury. Mercury, the planet of the mind, how we think, how we communicate. Now that's going to balance Sagittarius a little bit because Sagittarius is so optimistic, maybe a little too optimistic. And Capricorn can be a little bit of I don't want to say a wet blanket, but that energy does like to tell us, maybe you should think before you act. Maybe you should consider this a lot before you do something. And in that, it can make us be a little bit more adult, and that's not always fun. Whereas Sagittarius is, let's just do it. Let's just go for it. We'll see what happens. It's an adventure. Let's do it. Now, a little warning to everybody. Mercury is going to be going retrograde. Some of you know what that is and some of you don't. I'll explain it quickly. Is going to go retrograde on the 29th of this month. That's not a really great time for it to do that. In between Christmas with people traveling. It's a concern for me. I just wish it was some other time, but nobody's asked me for my opinion. Mercury retrograde, and we'll get into detail more the week that it is going retrograde, but just kind of a cliffhanger here. Retro is just like it sounds, retro, going backwards. So it's the planet of the mind. It's the planet of processing. So it can be a little bit more difficult to think. And I can't imagine it can be more difficult at this point. So we may be more prone to make mistakes, to not get the prescription right, to not add the column up properly, to process things differently, to say, I can't add up 2 and 2. It's too complicated. So our mind isn't working as well as it could or it should. That contributes to mistakes, accidents. So be very careful on the road if you can, because mistakes on the road aren't cute. And this is when a lot of the car accidents, train accidents, plane accidents are more common. We don't have control over who's flying the plane usually or who's managing the train. And sometimes with the car, it's the same. Oftentimes mistakes that are made are not your mistakes when Mercury is retrograde. It can be the mistake of another person. The difficulty is that then becomes your problem if it's a bad mistake on the road. Nothing you can do about it, but if you don't have to travel, don't. And if you do have to travel, be as careful as humanly possible. But we're going to deal with that later because there's some real good sides to a retrograde, like redoing things, reorganizing, redecorating, so there's some real good things about it, and we'll work with that as well. Venus, the planet of love and beauty and attraction, is in Capricorn. And that's going to stay there for a little bit. And I'm going to discuss that too. And Mars, the planet of our passion, our drive, that's the planet that just lights that fire in our eyes, is still in Gemini. And it's still retrograde. So there's nothing we can do about that either. Now, it's been retrograde for a long, long time. So that has contributed to people feeling tired. That energy planet is going backwards. So many of us can feel exhausted and feel tired. And it's a funny kind of exhaustion. It's not like normal. Hard to get going. I knew I wanted to do that project, but I don't feel like it right now. So we have to be aware of that and say, let's just do little pieces of it so you can lie to yourself and get some of it done. Because everything seems to be overwhelming if it's an energy task. One of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention, excuse me, is this. It's the 12th that we're talking about, and it's in the 12th month. Many people consider that to be a portal. So December the 12th is the day. It's the 12th month. So 12, 12. If you look in numerology, and I'm just know enough to be dangerous, 12 is the number of wholeness and completion. So there are 12 months in a year. There are 12 zodiac signs. There are 12 planets in 12 zodiac signs. There are 12 houses in the zodiac, and that's just the zodiac. 12 is a very powerful number. It tries to help us get the full picture if we can. So the universe is trying to help us see our lives in the full picture of it. Now, at this time of the year, this is a wrapping up time. So this is a time where we're supposed to wrap things up. It's year end, right? So we have to do inventory. We have to look at how much our business made for that year. We'll be starting our taxes in January, February, March. And that is part of the wrapping up, to see how much money we made, how much money we spent, where did we spend it. So that is starting to get an energy field. So we're coming to the year's end. And 1212 is a number code in numerology. And it's supposed to identify the field around us. Now, I see auras. So I do discuss it with my clients, the aura. And auras tell you something. Auras it's an information type of thing for me. So my friend can say, yeah, I'm feeling great, but the aura's drooping. I'll say, oh, I don't think so. What's really going on? Or somebody might say that they feel great, and I see redness around the neck. And that indicates possibly anger or a sore neck. So auras can tell on us if you're with somebody that can see auras. So that energy field, because that's what an aura is an energy field. According to some, I'm not saying I believe it or not believe it, but the number 1212 is supposed to activate that energy field around us. So it starts to vibrate higher. Some people say that you can travel. You can travel at night. You can astral travel. You can travel to a higher consciousness. Now, I have astral traveled, so I know it's a thing. I have done some remote viewing, so I know it's a thing. I have had a friend that's very good at it, John B. He tried it once and he was stunned because it is a thing. So with that thing, there is something that we don't completely understand, and it does deserve some investigation if you're interested. But according to some, it activates that energy field around us, makes it vibrate at a higher rate, which is supposed to facilitate astral travel, just, meditation travel, helping us to get to that higher consciousness so we can have more understanding, more soul work, more work in the light. I don't try to push people too far, so you can investigate that on your own if you're of a mind. Gemini, as I said, has been with us for a while. We had the new moon in Gemini last week. And as I said, we've got Mars in Gemini. It is going retrograde. Gemini is the curiosity kid in the zodiac. Gemini is the one that wants to explore all new things, get good conversation going. So if there's something that you have been wanting to explore, maybe new types of cuisine, rollerblading, new subjects in books that maybe haven't been something that's on your normal list, that's a time right now to maybe take advantage of it. A new genre in music or movies. Try something that you haven't tried maybe in a while, and you might find a new love. Or you might say, nope, that's off the ticket. But that's what Gemini wants. Gemini wants us to be excited, to be interested, to be curious. Just like that newborn child that's coming up in January. that newborn child. They're interested. If you look at little kids that are a year old or months old and they're just starting to grab things, everything is interesting to them. Animals are like that. A patch of grass, so interesting. And I marvel at the ability that they have to be so interested in everything. And I think we have to develop that, or we should develop that, or try to develop it, or encourage it in the next little bit, because the universe will help us. Now, we've got a solstice coming up on the 21st. That's next week. That's a powerful energy too. We're going to talk about that too. I'm just warning you. If you do have your own solstice ritual, I'm just giving you a heads up to get ready and get all your little tools in place. Venus, as I said, is in Capricorn, and with Venus, Venus is the planet of love and beauty, and Capricorn is serious. It's very serious. It has a sense of humor, but it's serious about life. It wants to get the job done well. Capricorn wants right, organized. Let's do this properly. Let's get this done right the first time. So Venus in Capricorn can lend us to a more serious transit for the planet of love. And our love and our social activities may feel like we want them to take a more traditional role, more enduring, more with more of a committed flavor. So it's a little bit more serious, not just, oh, well, we'll just be friends and we'll see what happens. So love and friendships during this time can take on a more committed and a more serious tone during this period. It doesn't mean that you can't have fun. It's not about that. It just means that there's more to it. It's not frivolous and it isn't fluffy. We don't want fluffy all the time. Sometimes it's okay. The number that was given to us this week is the number 3. And that number 3 is supposed to signify mentally alert energy, a creative mind that pairs beautifully with Gemini. And number 3 is creative and original and a really good imagination and hates boredom and is willing to cooperate with others. Pairing beautifully, as I said, with Gemini. Somebody knows what they're doing up there. It's a charming and a witty number. Pairs again with Gemini because Gemini is charming and witty. So this is a really nice combination. Somebody picked this really well for this week. And there's a caution being around critical other people are critical of being others. So we have to be careful. I'm cautioning all of you to be careful not to be critical of others. We can see what's going on, but try not to, even in your mind, and this is an opportunity with that leaning towards being critical. This is an opportunity to learn how to be more diplomatic. I believe that there are some of our I almost said Trump. That's a Freudian slip. I almost said the politicians, some of them with their mouth going off and not paying attention to what they're saying and how it lands, could benefit from a little diplomacy and still get the job done well. So there's a need to work freely and without restraints with number 3, but we like working in pairs because of that Gemini and number 3. So often our energy is very successful in number 3 and Gemini to work better under stress, believe it or not, because it's activating the mental energy and it allows us to put that in full gear. We succeed quickly as a rule during this time, and it's much more ambitious. And it's more open to having more, to experiencing more, to learning about more. It's inventive and it's imaginative in solving problems. This is a really great combination. And we're allowed to make new contacts easily. So if you're in sales or marketing, it should be a whole lot easier for you to open some doors or get some doors opening for you. We've got to be careful, as I said, of the superficial, because this can just go, just can skate over the top. We don't want superficial. Caution, it's not a bad thing, but caution of making decisions fast. And if we do, we may not always be correct. The weakness of number 3 is restlessness, distractibility, bad temper, because we want everything done right, fast, irritability, fear of dullness, even maybe some instability in the financial life. So watch for carelessness with this number 3 and Gemini. When I pulled some tarot cards, what I got was mental imbalance. So it was the card of mental balance, the 2 of Swords. Swords is the mind, it's how we think, how we communicate, and it is upside down. So it being upside down is a caution to try to keep your mind in the center of the road. Don't drift too far from one side to the other, because we'll be pressured, just as I've been talking about, to try to keep our mind in balance. Now that's going to be even more supported towards the end of the week, because we have a Libra moon on Saturday the 17th, and Libra's all about balance. So Libra likes harmony and balance. The weaknesses in our body for this week can be heart. So you have to really be careful of that. If you have a weakness there, just don't push it. Great, I have a stress test. The first of the week, I'll probably kill myself because I want to show off how a 73-year-old can run. I better be careful of that. So the heart is a weak. Now the emotional heart and the physical heart. Around the middle of the week, we could be looking at some vulnerability in your pancreas. So if you can't tolerate fat, or you have some issues with some of the foods that you eat, this will be more prominent. So you want to be careful with that. And the end of the week, that Libra energy, kidneys, your urinary tract, the bladder, and we're going to need balance. Everything in Libra wants balance. The middle of the week will want order and clarity and want to organize. So it's going good with, a lot of these energies are going good with each other. Somebody up there knows what they're doing. All right, that's it, folks. Thank you so much for taking your time, tuning in, and giving me a chance to talk at you. And don't be afraid to like it if you listen to this little podcast, generously done by Charlie O'Brien for all your tech needs. He's got us on Spotify podcasts. He has it on Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, and he also has it on my website, www.terriworld.com, and he archives some of the past, and they can be relevant to some of the things that are going on, so some of the past podcasts. If you need me and you would like a reading for yourself, don't hesitate to text or call 519-726-6699, or you can email me at Terri, terri.coutts@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you a wonderful week, and hopefully we'll talk next week. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Insights with Terri Coots. Visit Terri's website at terriworld.com. TERRI world.com.